Rucker.Gabrielle Speech 2. A little over a month ago, I realized that the northern region of St. Louis, Missouri is living in a devastating food desert. As I continued to do research, I realized that not just St. Louis was facing such a detrimental problem, but other cities in the nation also had the same issue. So my next step was to find out why this was happening and how this food desert could be corrected. What I found when I researched was what is a food desert and what causes one. I was first met with the definition of a food desert by the United States Department of Agriculture that stated that urban tract must have a poverty rate of at least 20% or a median family income at most 80% of the statewide or metropolitan median family income. In addition, that more than 500 people or 33% of the tract's residents must live more than 1 mile from a supermarket or large grocery store. A food retailer with at least $2 million in annual sales in all of the major departments of a traditional grocery store. The next source that popped up was an article from Madeline I.G. DePay titled Prices and Availability of Healthy Foods Across St. Louis. In this article, DePay explained how there is a correlation between income and availability across the city and high prices. She points out that there is better availability of stores in areas with high income compared to lower income areas, and that these areas are predominantly white. As she goes on to explain in more detail, because of this lack of availability, areas with low income, which is my area, as stated in the map covered in blue, tend to have higher prices. Well, that got me to thinking and comparing the transportation access of the area to areas without food deserts. What I found is that my area also has low access to transportation, as you can see in the map that is highlighted in dark pink. In 2011, 41% of the area had no access to vehicles. Winter 2011. As I continued to research and read, I came up to an understanding that the inequitable food distribution in low-income areas, higher prices of healthy items, and low access to transportation were not just all signs of a food desert, but also signs of a larger underlying problem. This food desert was not just causing a lack of stores in the area, but also causing drastic health issues amongst the community. According to St. Louis Department of Health obesity report of 2015, 76% of the area was obese or overweight. This is ridiculous because the community cannot prosper or be an input to society if it's unhealthy and cannot survive. Unfortunately, St. Louis is not the only city that has experienced a food desert. Cities such as Philadelphia, Chicago, and Detroit have suffered too. This issue is extremely concerning because the evidence makes me wonder if this problem has roots in legislation. Furthermore, it is an issue that won't be easy nor quick, but if left unresolved, will continue to affect the area. In order to devise a plan to fix the food desert, I researched the plans and initiatives that have already been implemented in both St. Louis and the nation. In St. Louis, there have been 2 plans implemented by the city to reverse the effects of the food desert. The first plan implemented was the city's participation in the Let's Move campaign started by the First Lady, Michelle Obama. In this participation, Mayor Slay organized 5+ events to get people exercising and eating better. These events have outcomes of 500 people or more. He had also enacted a plan to teach students about the benefits of exercising and healthy eating. While the second plan implemented was the city's deal to increase the number of grocery stores and supermarkets in the food desert area. The first attempt at this was opening the first community-run grocery store, the Old North Grocery Co-op, and it closed after only being open 3 years. Unfortunately, the community felt it was not a benefit because they did not carry the items that most shoppers favored. The second attempt to increase grocery stores and supermarkets in the area had been a deal made with the city, Walmart, and Super Value Incorporated, the owners of the Save chain, in 2011. Sadly, the deal fell through in May of 2012 and the stores were never built. While on a national level, both the White House and the Senate implemented successful plans to help resolve the problem of the food desert in the nation. The first plan was the creation of the Let's Move campaign by Michelle Obama. This campaign was run by the First Lady in order to help improve the lifestyles and eating habits of children in the nation. The campaign functioned based on the 5 pillars of success. 1. Creating a healthy start for children. 2. Empowering parents and caregivers. 3. Providing healthy food in schools. 4. Improving access to healthy, affordable foods. And 5. Increasing physical activity. The campaign has reached over 50 million children within the D.C. area and across the nation, teaching them to understand and make healthier choices about eating in their lifestyles. While the second plan was enacted by the Senate when they signed the Healthy Food Financing Initiative, HFFI. The initiative has granted over 160 million grants to companies and businesses that are trying to change the food environment in the healthy food deprived areas. This initiative has created and helped maintain jobs, generate tax revenues, and help support local stores and economies. Policy, page 2. With the success of the initiative, states such as California, Colorado, Illinois, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Maryland, and Virginia, as well as cities Washington, D.C., Detroit, Houston, New York City, have launched their own financial team programs to supply healthy and fresh produce to their communities. Policy, P3. As I have seen and read the initiatives, I have realized that in St. Louis, the government should have dug deeper to find out what was causing this issue before trying to make deals for new grocery stores that never happened. While the White House and the Senate have created great plans that have done a lot good for different cities. After researching this problem and looking at the current plans to resolve the issue, I chose to write a memo for my public writing assignment. I wrote this memo to Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill and her administration because I felt that as someone who claims to love St. Louis as much as the residents, that she would care about what happens to them. I also chose her because I have read some of her policies and seen her actions on Capitol Hill, and felt that it was time she did something that would truly benefit the people here. Unfortunately, as of now, I will not submit my memo to her, but when I do, I will be sending it to her St. Louis, Kansas City, and Washington, D.C. offices. As I conclude my research project and semester, there hangs the question of what the next steps are for the resolution of my food desert. At this point, the next step in the problem solution process is to inform the community, city, county, and state representatives. After that, there needs to be a plan of enacting a solution. While I have presented my solution to fix this issue in my community, I do believe there still is a lot of research that needs to be done. If I was to spend more time on this, my next step would be to research into the legislation about how companies get permission to build in St. Louis and the law changes in salary pay. Throughout this process of research and observation of this issue in my community, I have learned more about myself. I have realized I really do not know my community, that I only just live here. Unfortunately, I just live in this area. I do not deal with the community. I still shop and go to all the places I went when I lived on the other side of town. This is very negative because in my community, no one really stands up for them, nor do they invest in the community. So I have since decided that the next community I move into, I will have to be more informed and invest some time in the area. It's not just for me, but also for my community, because with participation, I will be able to help prevent such a devastating food drought again. Thank you for a great semester.